Hello friends, my name is Jess. Welcome to Books Past Bedtime. Today we are going to be doing my March TBR, and we are bringing back the game from last time and letting my tarot deck pick my TBR. Basically, if you missed last month's edition, I'm going to be drawing a 6-card tarot spread, and I have written out a list with a prompt for every single card, and so whichever 6 cards I draw, I have to read a book that completes the corresponding prompt for all 6 of those cards. So I will flash up the list of prompts here if you would like to take a gander. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm never going to go through all of them, but if you're interested, they are here and you can look through and read them. Alright, so let's just jump right into it. I'm doing 6 cards again because I did not read very much in February. I'm hoping to read more in March, but there are a lot of things on my TBR that I need to get to, and I'm hoping that I can fit those books into my tarot spread prompts, but just in case, I'm just going to pick 6 because I think that that is a good number. Also, that's the only number that will fit in my flat lay on my camera on my table, so it's just a good number, alright? 6 is a good number for me. So the first card I drew is the Page of Cups, and my little card here says that the Page of Cups can represent a young woman or really good news, which young women are really good news, so that was so fucking stupid. Anyway, when I was making these prompts, that might not have been what the internet said this card meant, so my prompt for this card is to read a book featuring art. I believe I drew this one last month, so I don't know. I'm shuffling these cards, I promise. It's what the fates want for me. What am I saying? Anyway, for this prompt, I'm going to read Tell Me How You Really Feel by Amina May Safi. Basically, this is a female-female love story between the head cheerleader and a filmmaker. I believe they are very different. I believe it's enemies to lovers, and I've actually heard mixed things about this one. I've heard a lot of negative reviews from people I trust, so I'm a little apprehensive of this book, but it is the 20-something book club pick for March, so I really want to read it and discuss with them, and it is perfect because it fits with this prompt. Prompt obviously is to read a book featuring art, and filmmaking is art. So there we go. The next card I drew was the Star, and this card basically represents brightness and hope, and it is one of my favorite cards in my personal deck. This card can also stand for spirituality, and so the prompt for this card is to read a book featuring religion or spirituality, and for that I am going to read The Project by Courtney Summers. This is a book about a girl whose sister ends up joining a cult. Our main character knows in her soul that this cult is a really bad thing, and so she sets out to expose it along with this journalist for this magazine, and along the way she hopes to save her sister as well. And this is one of my most highly anticipated books of 2021, so I'm very excited to read it. It is our Page Turner Book Club pick for March, so I cannot wait to dive in and discuss this one. I'm so excited and I have such high hopes for this one. And if you're wondering where the religion spirituality aspect comes in, cults are inherently like religions. They are inherently spiritual, so that's where I am connecting the prompt with this book, and I think it works. So very excited for this one. The next card I drew was the Ten of Cups, which is another of my favorite cards in the deck, and this card is a very positive card as well. It basically means like happiness, good things are coming, cause for celebration, and so the prompt for this is to read a book with a happy ending. And for that, I'm going to read Get a Life, Chloe Brown by 𝗕cie His𝗁𝗲𝗏. I am assuming that this book has a happy ending. I don't really know why it wouldn't. I don't think so many people would like it if it didn't have a happy ending, so hopefully it does. Basically, this is a romance between our main characters, Chloe and Red. Chloe is chronically ill and she has a near-death experience, so she really wants to start living her life to the fullest. She makes this bucket list of things she wants to accomplish, and she enlists Red, who is like the maintenance man of her apartment complex, to help her achieve her goals, and along the way they start to fall for each other. I have already started this one. I have my pretty bookmark from Christine in here. I started back in December and I just put it down because I had to read other things, had other priorities come up, but I do really want to finish this one, particularly because the Sugar and Spice Book Club is reading the new book in the series, Act Your Age, Eve Brown, for their March pick, so I want to read this whole series this month and I need to start with this one. So I am very excited to finally finish this one. I think I'm going to love it. I was loving it so far. That is what I'm going to read for that prompt. The next card I drew was the Three of Cups. This is also a very positive card. I just had a very positive spread here. It represents celebration, happiness, and friendship, and so the prompt for this card is to read a book featuring friendship, and for that I'm planning to read The Extraordinaries by TJ Klune. I feel like TJ Klune writes some of the best friendship in all of the book world, so I can't imagine that this one doesn't include a good friendship. Plus, I believe that this is a friends to lovers romance, so I would assume they start as friends, and it'll be perfect for this prompt. This book's kind of hard to explain because I'm not quite positive what exactly it is about. I felt that way when I was always trying to explain The House in the Cerulean Sea before I read it as well, but I believe that our main character is a big fan fiction writer, and the fandom that he is a part of is like this superhero fandom, and the superheroes in this world are called Extraordinaries, and they are like real, so I think it's kind of like writing fan fiction about a celebrity or something, because these Extraordinaries are real, but I think he also has a real life like normal best friend, and I think they fall in love, even though he thinks he loves the superhero guy. I kind of think that that's what this is about, but I'm not positive. Either way, I'm really excited to read this one. This was kind of gifted to me by my friend Paige, so I can't wait to read it and discuss with her what I think, because she loves TJ Klune so much, and the only TJ Klune I've read is House in the Cerulean Sea, and I loved that book so much. It was one of my favorites of 2020, so I think I'm really gonna love this one, and I can't wait to pick it up. The next card I drew is the Ten of Pentacles. This card definitely represents money in some capacity, but it also maybe represents like familial wealth. And so the prompt connected to this card is to read a book featuring family drama. And for that, I'm going to read Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen, because who writes a family drama better than Jane Austen? No one. So this book follows the Dashwood sisters and their romantic trials and tribulations. I think their father dies, and so they're left kind of homeless and without funds, so they both have to marry to survive, basically, because that's the time period that this is. This is one of the few Jane Austens that I haven't read yet, and I'm very excited to pick it up. The Down Memory Jane Book Club is reading this one in March, so I can't wait to discuss it with them and read the retelling next month. Jane Austen's books are some of the best. I love the family dynamics, and this one sounds like it's going to have some good family dynamics between the sisters, and her books are just so funny and timeless, and I just am so excited to finally pick this one up. And the final card I drew was pretty much the first negative card, and that is the Three of Swords. This card represents deception, jealousy, and heartbreak, and my prompt for this card is to read an emotional story. And for that, I'm going with All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. I've heard nothing but good things about this. This is a very powerful emotional memoir about George's life growing up as a young Black queer teen, and I think this just follows his life experiences and what shaped him to be who he is. It includes photos, and it's just like a really incredibly beautiful book, so I'm very excited to read this one. My friend Rachel kindly sent me to this one. It was one of her favorites of last year, so I'm very excited to pick this one up. I have very high hopes, but I know for a fact that I'm going to cry. So alright, so those are the 6 books that my tarot reading chose for me, but now I'm going to talk about a couple other books that I really want to get to in March. So I do have a secret TBR planned that includes these books. So Verona Comics I read in February, and obviously I've already talked about The Extraordinaries and All Boys Aren't Blue, but then I also have Watch Over Me and The Weight of the Stars, and so I'm going to talk about those in a second. If you have any guesses on what my secret TBR is, definitely let me know down below. Very interested to see if anybody can guess before I post it. And no, it is not reading books that are blue. So the next book on that secret TBR is Watch Over Me by Nina LaCour. I believe this is a YA magical realism story. It might be ghosty. I think it's about this main character who moves to this town in California. She starts working on this farm because she's not really sure what else she wants to do now that she is an adult. But I think this farm is kind of haunted and raises some trauma from her own past. This is such a short, small book, so I hope it is a really quick read. But it also sounds like it's going to be powerful and emotional, so honestly it sounds right up my alley. Like, what is better than an emotional short book? I don't know. Nina LaCour also writes queer stuff, so I'm hoping that this is queer, at least a little bit. We'll see. I'll let you know. And then the fifth book for that secret TBR is The Weight of the Stars by Kay Ancrum. This is a YA sci-fi story about these two girls who meet, and originally they don't like each other, but something happens that brings them together. Their names are Alexandria and Ryan learns that Alexandria's mom has actually volunteered to go into space to the edge of the universe or something like that. And I think it's really traumatic for Alexandria to deal with. They become friends and then eventually have a romance, I believe. I really loved Kay Ancrum's other book, The Wicker King, so I'm very excited to pick this one up and think I will really love it. I'm also very excited for Kay Ancrum's book that's coming out in May or April. It sounds so freaking good, the Peter Pan retelling. What the heck? I really love this author and I can't wait to pick this one up. And then, like I mentioned when I was talking about Get a Life Chloe Brown, I want to read the rest of the Brown Sisters trilogy this month. After I read Get a Life Chloe Brown, I'm going to read Take a Hint, Dani Brown, which is about the second Brown sister, Dani. She meets this guy, 𝗬𝗡, and they kind of get in this mishap where they're photographed and people online start shipping them and think that they're together and the cutest couple ever, so they kind of form a friends with benefits kind of situation, or like a fake dating kind of thing that is mutually beneficial for both of them, and eventually they fall in love, I'm pretty sure. So this book sounds really cute. I'm very excited for this one and I can't wait to continue with the series. And then after Take a Hint, I also want to read At Your Age Eve Brown by 𝗤𝗨 Hibbert. This is the Sugar and Spice book club pick for March, which is hosted by my lovely friends Kirsten and Amanda. That information will be linked down below if you want to read along with us. But this book sounds so cute. I believe Eve is kind of like the wacky zany sister. She has not really been able to hold down a steady job, but she does get a job at a hotel as like a cook or something. Her and her boss like just don't get along very well, and I think she runs him over with her car or something. But then they fall in love. So I think that this one is kind of like enemies to lovers and kind of like with the grumpy sunshiny trope too, which I like both of those tropes. So I'm very excited about this one and think it's going to be really cute, and I cannot wait to read along with and discuss with the book club. I also really want to read 𝗬𝗡igured by Amanda Leduc. This is a nonfiction story. What? A nonfiction story? That's not a thing, Jess. What the hell am I talking about? Okay. 𝗬𝗡igured is a nonfiction and it discusses concept and ideas around disability within the framework of fairy tales. It kind of discusses how people who are disfigured or have disabilities don't have any representation within fairy tales, so how would they ever believe that they would get their own happy endings, which I think is just a really powerful tagline. I've never really thought about disability in this context, so I think that this is going to be a really good read, a really powerful read, and I am ready for it. I've heard nothing but good things, particularly about the audiobook, so I'm very excited to pick it up and will most likely consume it that way. And this is the first pick for the Nonfiction Baddies book club, which is hosted by 𝗬𝗄cy and 𝗏𝗡lda, and I'm very excited to read along with them and discuss this book in March. I also want to read Him by Serena Bowen in March because it is the last book that I haven't read in my Kindle Unlimited library, and I did cancel my Kindle Unlimited subscription, so it is going to be up in March. So I want to read this book before that ends, that cutoff date. This is a male-male romance. I believe they're hockey players maybe and used to be friends, but then they mess around and then the one guy never talks to the other guy again, and then I think maybe this is gonna be like their second chance romance or something. I don't know. I've heard good things and I think it sounds cute, so I'm gonna read it. And then finally in March, I am planning to pick up Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman for the Scythe-along hosted by my friend Noelle. This will be a reread for me. I have read Thunderhead, but I don't remember a single thing about it. Scythe is different because I do remember reading that one, but Thunderhead will definitely be like a totally new experience because I have no idea what happened in this. I listened to the audiobook and that was not the way to consume this series, I don't think. This series is basically about this dystopian world where we are so advanced technologically that nobody dies anymore, so there are these reapers, these 𝗖𝗍s who have to go around and selectively kill people so they maintain population control. We follow Citra and Rowan, who are chosen to train to be 𝗖𝗍s, but there can only be one 𝗖𝗍, I believe, so they're like competing for it. Only one 𝗖𝗍 can survive. I haven't reread the first book yet, so I could be just totally making this shit up. I don't know. But I'm excited to get back into this, read this one, so I can finally read The Toll in April. So those are all the books that I'm planning to read in March. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, definitely give it a like and consider subscribing maybe. All relevant links are down in the description, so make sure you check it out. Also, if you are interested, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter to hang out with me more often. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.